Okay, I'm starting it. Shh, shh, shh. Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys for joining us once again. And this is a real fun topic tonight. This is like one of my favorite topics, which is basically the inner earth, the hollow earth. You know, what is really going on with our planet? Is there anybody in there? Is there anybody in there? There are myths from all around the globe that describe this being the case, and that there's all sorts of advanced beings in there. This goes on forever, really. Everywhere you look, there's legends of inner earth and different civilizations. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
It is, and it brings me back to that dream that I had. And hi, nuclear quantum lasers, pew, pew, pew. It's wonderful to see you. Hi, David. Hi, Adam Diaz. First, yes, you are. Hi, Blue Angel. Hi, John. And I had this dream, what was it, about a month ago, about being inside a Shasta.
Yeah.
So I do believe that they have some sort of a inner working area inside of Shasta, and if there can be something inside of Shasta, then definitely there's got to be an inner earth.
Yeah, and this is fascinating. This is one of those things that always fascinated me. And so, man, I don't want to start at the end because I was going to end with a certain thing, but actually, it's how I got introduced to this, which was a book by John Uri Lloyd. And, it kind of reads like a Christmas carol. And let's see, it's called Edidorfa, and it just hit me. I thought it was the coolest damn book. Strange journey of a mysterious being and an incredible journey inside the earth. And that is what really set me off on this. And, I think I read this when I was probably 12, somewhere around there. That, my fascination with all this stuff goes way back to childhood. I've always been the weird kid.
You have been a really strange individual with, like, the things that you know from childhood are absolutely incredible that you could remember them, and that you set your tracks very early in life for what you're doing right now. So you've kind of created the ruts that you're in now, which is, they're really cool ruts. I would want to be in them, but you've been doing this stuff for a long time.
Yeah, it's been my entire life. Melissa Jane, well, welcome. First time actually taking in a live. Glad to have you. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Priscilla Ross Fox. Too many yeah. Oh, I can remember all those sci-fi movies from, the silly ones back in the 50s. Now, I was watching them in like maybe 72, 73. I'll be 55 next year. So, I was born in 65, but, I remember The Outer Limits. I remember all these, different shows, and yeah, I love all that cheesy sci-fi stuff. Elise, yes, Agartha is definitely on the menu for tonight, and good to see all you guys. Good to see you, Julie, Wendy Allen, your first live as well. Well, welcome aboard. Good to see you guys. Good to see you, Skinner. JJ, Lost in Space. Yeah, that was always a lot of fun. Do you remember? Well, yeah, of course we all remember the robot in Lost in Space. Did you guys see the Netflix one that came out? It was so far just a one season thing, but you know what? It was really good. Oh yeah, Star Trek as well. And now we got Star Wars debuting in just a week.
Oh, that's going to be good, because since I've known you, you've been watching those little things on YouTube about what's going to happen on Star Wars and who's going to do this and what's going to do that and how is it going to end. And yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be more entertaining watching you watch Star Wars than watching Star Wars.
That could be the case. That could be the case. Hey, good to see you, Stephanie. Good to see you, Paolo, down in Melbourne. Yeah, Twilight Zone. Was it Twilight Zone or Outer Limits was the one to serve man? Was that Outer Limits or Twilight Zone? I forget. We talked about that. I think the last live, or one of the last lives. Good to see you, Susan. And as well, nuclear quantum lasers, pew 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 in the house. Executive Order 66. Such a tragic time. It was just such a tragedy. And Cindy doesn't understand what I'm talking about, but you get it. Anyway, yeah. Okay, Stephanie says it was a Twilight Zone to serve man. And then we also talked about, do you remember the one where it was getting hotter and hotter and hotter because the Earth it changed, the orbit of the Earth changed, and we were heading into the sun. And then at the end, you find out it's just the opposite. It's getting colder and colder and colder out.
I get it now. It's just a little delayed reaction, you guys.
Yeah, well, we're talking the second Star Wars in the series there. So, yeah, good stuff. All good stuff. These legends, they come from everywhere. And, of course, we have, more people are believing in flat Earth every year. And I'm not going to go there tonight, as far as the flat Earth thing. But it's amazing how I think there's a rebellion going on against the established point of view on things. We're at the point where we know, textbooks are they're good for kindling.
They are. It's so true, and I know that we're not going to go there, but the one thing I can appreciate about flat Earth is that the question is being asked. I mean, ask questions. Get curious. Get curious about your life, your body, your world. Why? Ask why? And that's one thing that has been done is it's questioned. I like that.
Most definitely. Question everything. So hollow Earth theory is very interesting. And, I also think electric universe theory is fascinating and seems to be getting to be more and more accepted and looking more and more logical as we go. So what if, at the core of the Earth is not just a molten mass of metal? What if it's plasma? What if it's actually like a second sun on the inside of the Earth? I've always kind of had the feeling that might actually be the reality.
Yeah, it could be. This is really curious. And I read something about, as we raise our vibration, that's akin to raising our voltage. So if we are in an electric universe and we're electric beings, making ourselves conductive is very important, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I see Brother Thor is in the house. Earth Aid concert. Hope you're doing well. And, we'll be probably knocking on your door in February just to give you a warning. Come do a visit. Lots of interesting stuff out there. Good to see you, Raising Cane. How you doing? Nathan to see also. Good to see you as always, brother. All right, that's a good comment right there. Almost all the animals on the Earth are representations of the aliens that are involved with the Earth with their DNA. I love that. I love that thought, and that's really, it's interesting. I think about Ganesha. Think about so many different hybrids we've seen in so many ways. Now, in the Ganesha story, one of the stories is Shiva in a rage chopped his head off and stuck the first head he found on top of Ganesha's head, and that happened to be an elephant. But we know that there's a lot of things going on with hybrids now, and they're letting us know that they're doing this. All sorts. The last one I saw was crossing a monkey with a pig. But I mean, they're doing all sorts of hybrids, and they probably have. Look at all the ancient mythologies as well. There has to be there's got to be a lot more truth in all these myths. They're not just all, they're not just all just myths. There's got to be something real to it.
I think so. So what you're saying is, and what the comment was about, is like Lisa is saying, does that mean there's a cockroach race? So does that mean for every insect, every animal, there's a bigger version on another planet somewhere? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that was kind of the, what the line of thought was, perhaps. I mean, we've seen, representations of certain beings like from Sirius that are like perhaps part feline. It's pretty interesting. I mean, why do we have, the bird head on Thoth? Why do we have, same thing with, a lot of the other Egyptian deities too, Anubis, animal head again. It's time after time. Seth, the same thing, animal head. Interesting, yeah. And this, I always got the feeling that the Earth is probably a zoo. That's kind of what I have always thought.
So I suddenly am really grateful that I stopped stomping on bugs quite a while ago, but I did stomp on ants when I was little, and if there's big ant people and if they're real, they have their own planet, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so nuclear quantum lasers is warning us not to say the P word. We can't say the pew pew pew, or we might get demonized. So, hey, today's first video, I don't know what I said, but that was the same thing happened with that today. It was demonetized, and yesterday's same thing. Once 90% of the video's views are in, then they monetize it. But, there was notice today from Brydian that they are definitely expanding, and, there's a lot of other sources out there now. So, I mean, even just, I'm kind of getting the feeling that maybe YouTube is learning a little. We'll see. And might head back in the other direction, perhaps. Hard to say. Hard to say.
It is hard to say. We just, got to kind of keep being like water, keep going above, around, under, through, on and on and on, and we'll get there. We're going to get the word out.
So, Julie, you said your comments are getting deleted under the videos. One of the things that's interesting is I was showing Cindy, too. I was saying, look, there's nothing in the spam, because sometimes they will put people's comments in spam, and I don't know why they do it. It's kind of like a filter that they have, and but there's no comments in spam, and I know there's got to be some comments in spam. And then I know on a lot of the lives, it'll show probably 20% of the comments that you should have there. So I'm not sure what's up with that. See, Raven's in the house. Xenopec, good to see you guys. Joffrey, good to see you, brother.
Julie, maybe just for the heck of it, try to make a new username and try again, because it's so rare that we erase comments. I mean, yeah, we just don't do that. We want everybody to be heard.
Yeah, I mean, if it's F this and that, then, that's got to go, because, I don't want that out there. But otherwise, yeah, we don't really get rid of comments. But at the same time, sometimes I used to be able to see all the comments that were getting put into the category of probably spam, is how they put it, And then I'd find people that are like you guys, like just normal, regular, everyday contributors that contribute in a positive way, and I have no idea why they're going in there. But we're getting a little bit off topic. And getting back to topic, so we don't really know. I mean, we do know that apparently plate tectonics exists, going by the science and all. But if there are super advanced, technologies available, who knows what could be simulated and, what is not actual. But this has always intrigued me. And there's so many stories. And not even going with myths, because we'll go into, I guess it'd be a modern myth, perhaps we'll say. But, we hear from many sources that there's advanced civilizations inside the Earth, all sorts of beings inside the Earth, including, non-terrestrial beings. But there are also supposedly terrestrial beings inside the Earth, as well as, humanoid beings. All different types. And, of course, we got Agartha and Shambhala, Shangri-la, and we have Telos now as well. It's another one. Really interesting. And as we see here, Admiral Byrd's flight in 1947. So interesting that he kept going north and north and north, and all of a sudden it started getting warmer and warmer and warmer and more almost tropical. Yeah, what was really going on there?
I know, and this is another thing that I want to do because it's part of our history. It's part of who we are, what we're about, that's being kept from us. And I, the more we can learn about our origins, the more we can learn about history, the more we can learn about the truth. Doesn't that help people empower themselves? It just feels good to know who, what, where, when, and why, so you can create who you want to be, and you're not being lied to.
And so Skinner JW says inner Earth beings exist in a higher density. Yeah, probably. That's a definite possibility, but perhaps even in this density, right? In this 3D realm that we know so well. One of the things that hit me was if we really, really do get wiped out every 12,000 years, and we have the legends of the Hopi legends of the Anunnaki, the ant friends, taking people down into the earth, and then when it was safe, coming back, bring them back up. Well, what if, 10, 20, 30, 100 cycles of destruction ago, some beings went in, they never lost their technology. They never had that memory wipe that we have. And, if that was 120,000 years ago and they were at the level we're at now, where would they be at now? And what if they just kept advancing? What if, when the poles flip, or even the solar flash, if that's what comes, the nova, it toasts things, it destroys things on the surface. But what if everybody's fine down in the core, down inside the earth, and life is going on and they're just advancing technologically? How much would they look like gods to everybody up on the surface that, gets a memory wipe and we start over, come from scratch?
Well, certainly the ball would be in their court. I know that much. And depending, I guess the benevolent ones, they would be more apt to let us make our own mistakes. Just like when we're raising children, we allow our children some rope to kind of sort of hang themselves a little bit, not too much. And I think that's what they're about to.
Yeah, lots of good comments there, lots of interesting thoughts. Nephilim are 3D, Lisa says. Frequency and not so much density. Doug is in the house. Yes. So yeah, it's pretty really interesting when we're looking at this. And again, the G word, and it's so funny that this always triggers the demonization thing. There's something about the G word. There's got to be truth. Yeah, there's got to be a lot of truth to it, so what if they are also part of it? And so I started out talking about Edidorfa, right? And so that being the book that sent me into, fascination with this subject. It spells out Aphrodite. It's Aphrodite backwards is Edidorfa. Just a coincidence, maybe not. Here's a PDF for you guys. If you want to check it out, it's pretty damn cool. Really interesting. I mean, it feels like an Inner Earth version of a Christmas story, the Dickens one. It's just got that vibe. Except for, it's not like the ghost of Christmas past knocking on the door. It's an Inner Earth being that's taking this guy down into the earth and showing him what's in there. And in the book, I'm guessing this looks exactly like the book, completely. There's actually a lot of pictures, as you see. And he tells his story, and it's so good. It really is. It's really good stuff. And he's brought down into the earth to see the civilization that is there, and there's all sorts of beings going on. But one of the things I was going to point out is things were really big in there. Things were really big, like mushrooms that are like 8 to 10 feet tall. How many people could you feed with a 8 to 10 foot tall mushroom? So when we're talking about giants, maybe they come from inside as well.
Absolutely, they very well could. And, I don't know, depending on how big the giants are, a mushroom of that size may or may not, feed a couple of them. But this stuff is super cool. It does have like a Christmassy type mystical kind of vibe to it. It's very entertaining and probably extremely true.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. There's so many legends of giants, and I think that would solve a lot, if that was the case. And maybe it's not so much extraterrestrials from outer space, but beings from inner Earth. That really is what we're dealing with here. Beings that have been here the whole time, because we've had the same sightings of these things in the sky, the Vimanas, the UFOs, all these things. What if they were all just beings that actually do have civilizations inside the Earth? But, I think there's truth to this stuff. I really, really do.
So this thing just came into my head, and I want to know what you think about it. They say beings, those that came from Earth or from heaven to Earth, and then the inner Earth beings. Well, what if the aliens were the ones from heaven? Inner Earth were the sons of man, and that's how they made it, and that's why we're on the Earth. That's sort of a middle, right?
Perhaps that's another interesting thought right there.
I think so. It just sort of came to me. So yeah, I mean, and then that's us, and we live on the Earth, and maybe they made some sort of agreement where, the aliens in the sky won't tell and the inner Earth beings won't tell, and they're just sort of watching us develop.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Think about Hades and all the legends of, when you die, you go down inside the earth if you're bad, or you go up and outside into the heavens. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what do we got here?
We have some inner earth beings, including reptilians. So reptilians, legends of reptilians, again, are everywhere around the globe. And, almost universally, they're recognized that they live inside the earth as well. So reptilians, whether you're talking Native American or other cultures as well, out in Asia, they're there. And they are one of the inner earth races, supposedly. Fascinating how we don't really see them so much. There's so many reports of grays, as we're looking at some photos of Richard Byrd, Admiral Byrd, I should say. And, he was a fascinating one. I mean, think about his life. He went up to the North Pole exploring, and it actually found that things were getting hotter and hotter, and discovered the whole inner Earth scenario. And then he went down to Antarctica to go kick the Nazis' butt and got his butt kicked. And scampered on home after losing ships and aircraft. Boy, he saw a lot of stuff. Talk about a fascinating life that was right in the midst of mystery.
I know. I really love Admiral Byrd's story. It is really fascinating. And I remember that's one of those stories that also helped wake me up, because there's so much information to it that's documented. It's not just hearsay. There's a lot of true documentation about what he did.
Yeah, some really good comments. Chris B in the house. Good to see you, brother. Think about this too. All the legends, all the Nordic legends, right? Even we could go into like Valhalla and all those other Nordic legends, and the Nordic people showing up there. And again, it's kind of like going up towards that North Pole. What if they were inside? And then we see Adama at Telos, and he's very, very Nordic Pleiadian looking. So, perhaps that's the answer to that.
I think it very well could be. And like, we're getting a lot of good comments in here too. And this is why I love having us all together, because it's like we're all each have a puzzle piece of a giant puzzle that was thrown about the earth, and it has no rhyme, no reason. Yet each one of us is that puzzle piece, and we're sort of kind of slowly clicking it back together.
Yeah, piecing it all together. It's pretty interesting. Earth is prime real estate. Probably is, brother. And I do think there's a lot going on here. It does feel like we are, perhaps we're one big petri dish where a lot of experiments go on a regular basis, and they say, it's time to shake the pot. Let's try this over. It's not heading in the direction we want it to do.
Yeah, that's a disturbing thought, but how many things do we experiment on in our day-to-day life and we don't even think what the ramifications are? So maybe there's people in charge that aren't really thinking about a whole lot, or maybe they are. I don't know.
Plato's Cave says, whenever I meditate during an OBE, I immediately pull down into the earth. Anyone else experience this?
When I had and sometimes I do still have these little sleep paralysis episodes, it does feel like I'm being pulled down sometimes. And then other times it feels like they slug me in my chest and they grab my soul. Oh, wow. What's
That
that?
was a little Knight Rider music
Oh,
there.
like a Knight Rider. And it feels like they kind of grab my soul from my chest and they pull me up. So I've gone both ways.
It is interesting, and Xenopec says the moon is hollow, and I think so too. I shared with you guys my experience with the moon about a year ago. Just watching it with one other person, just standing out there enjoying the full moon, cold winter night in North Carolina, see the craters and everything, and then all of a sudden it went blank. And I looked at the person I was with, they looked at me, they saw it, we looked up, it was still blank, and then all of a sudden the craters and everything came back. And yeah. If I had to say it, I think it's some sort of ship. And I think that, it's not what it appears to be. And I would not doubt, again, look at legends. The legends again. There's so many legends that say when you die, you go to the moon too. There's myths about that as well. And the soul is recycled and sent back down to the earth. So are there beings that are operating on 4D as well as this 3D that are, still kind of in control of our matrix?
In control of our reality by pushing and pulling certain levels and buttons to change vibrations in our being, which would help influence us to act and be a certain way. And you would think that I don't like to call them elites, but the people who think they're in control, I wonder, they're probably the most controlled. I bet you that's how that works.
Oh, probably. This is a real tangled web. And, Lisa brings up the Black Knight satellite. And there was another one. There was a White Knight, too. I did videos on those a couple of years back. It is interesting. It's been there a long time. Yeah, I have no doubt that there are people with way advanced technology that are controlling the show. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not 100% certain on exactly what the scenario. Are we just dealing with interdimensionals that are able to manipulate humans? Are we dealing with beings inside the earth that are maybe interdimensional as well? Maybe 4D, 3D as well. I don't know how high up it would go. I know as far as the densities go, when you get up into the higher densities, if you listen to the Law of One, which does resonate with me, I know it resonates with Cindy too. You could be in service of self or service to others, but once you get to a certain point, you cannot progress anymore if you're in service just to self, going down that type of path. So more than likely these beings are, not really the highest level.
No, of course there's a higher level. And like right now, we are being taught that we're the pinnacle of modern technology, modern this, modern that, when it's so clear that there's different things that are far more advanced than we are.
Joffrey says that he thinks Native Americans built teepees because of the healing effects of the pyramid shape. Really good thought there, because there is a healing effect with that shape for sure. Xenopec says, what about one side facing the earth at all times? Exactly. And for another thing, it's too big. I've seen where some scientists have said that it wouldn't have formed naturally that way. It's just too big. And there is the thought it was brought here. And then now, a lot of you guys are catching that the stars are not in alignment, like we talked about the Inuits and the Eskimo people saying the sky has changed. And a lot of you guys are catching on that too, and getting so many people that have measured, like Brother David over in the UK, he's kept track and measured, and, everything is shifting, off by 6 degrees, off by different degrees. Now we know we have magnetic pole excursion at least underway. But, the actual position has changed, not just the magnetic. So at least that's what a lot of people are observing, including people that really know their stuff when you're talking about the natives to those areas. And then we know about different types, different classifications of civilizations. And at some point, if you get pretty advanced, you'd be able to actually move not only your planet, but the whole solar system into a different position. And so somebody else sent me a link today to a channel, which I didn't get a chance to look at yet, but they told me that, the whole synopsis is, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in a totally different place than where we were. So what if, they had the ability to actually steer the entire solar system into a new area as well?
Yeah, that could very well be, and I bet you anything, because we are in a type of hologram, that's very possible.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. It's good to see you, Sherry, as well. Pretty interesting stuff. So we have Admiral Byrd, and again, falls into the inner Earth in the North Pole, goes to fight the Nazis that had escaped to first Argentina and South America, then also set up a base in Antarctica. And with the Nazis' UFOs, their Bell craft, they kicked Admiral Byrd's butt, and he came limping back home. And then we had the bell-shaped, these classic saucers over Washington, back in the 50s. I think it was the 50s, not the 40s. It was the 50s. And again, you got to wonder what's up with that, because I think those were probably the Nazi ones. And it's just fascinating to think about. And, they had help from ETs, supposedly Nordic type ETs, in league with reptilians. And that's why their technology got so advanced so quick. But what if this was all just, civilizations that are right inside of the Earth again? And then, when you think about it and his trip up to the North Pole and down into Antarctica, these are supposed to be where some of the entrances is. And flew into the Earth back in 1947 into the North Pole.
Yeah, it is really curious. And what I really like about this is that a lot of this stuff you can actually go back and get the literature on. It's documented. It's been protected to a certain degree. I'm sure altered, but look how meticulous this guy is. I mean, you can't just dismiss him.
No, and so there's a link here, all about what he found, and it's just like they go from what they expect into all of a sudden encountering rolling green hills. External temperature indicator reads 74 degrees. As we said, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Continuing on heading now. And, it's amazing. And then radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what is perhaps a slightly Nordic or German accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You're in good hands."
That's some meticulous notes. And to think he had a lot, he didn't just start writing notes yesterday. The guy's been doing it all of his life. He's trained to do this stuff. So we know it's legit. That's why I love reading these things that have, really good background information. It's solid. So it's not just you can't just brush it under the carpet. No, it's real.
So, this is Admiral Byrd's writing here, and they make a landing. Several men are approaching, and they happen to be tall with blonde hair. They're exactly the Nordic alien types that we talk about. So interesting stuff here. Do you think he would make this up?
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Paul Winkler. We appreciate you a ton. Thank you.
Yeah, most definitely. We appreciate you, Paul. Thank you so much for helping us and helping the channel and helping us get the word out about, exactly what is our reality, what's really going on this planet. And again, is the only safe place going to be inside, and do they have room for 7.7 billion more people?
Maybe they might actually, but I just sort of kind of had a sad thought. What if they are trying to thin the population so they can at least take the stronger ones that are alive into the earth? That makes me sad. I don't want to think that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it is interesting. And as Xenopec says, Admiral Byrd did keep a diary, and they tried to make him out as crazy near the end. But was he crazy? There's so many people that have come out talking about the reality of UFOs, the reality of different races of beings, whether we want to. We don't have to even debate whether they're extraterrestrial or interdimensional. There's just different races of beings out there. They're not all exactly like us, and there are intelligent ones as well. So this is just fascinating stuff. So we either say he's a crazy man, or he's telling the truth.
I know. Of course, I'm going to lean toward he's telling the truth, because it's not just him talking about this. There's like a ton of books. There's other people that have seen it. It's just, to me, this is the most credible information that we have, I think.
So it goes on, and he's meeting with the master of this particular society. And so, he's told, your race has now reached the point of no return. For there are those among you who would rather destroy your very world than relinquish their power as they know it. And so Admiral Byrd nodded, and the master continued, in 45 and afterwards, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility, and their flugel rods were fired upon. Oh, that sounds kind of personal.
It does. Wow.
I don't want anybody firing on my flugel rods.
Yeah, don't flugel my rod.
Oh, so yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled, and all human things are leveled in a vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude for what is yet to come for your race. We here see it more clearly with each hour. Do you say I am mistaken? And no, Byrd answered. It happened once before. Dark ages come, and they last for more than 500 years. Yes, my son, replied the master, the dark ages that will come now for your race will cover the earth like a pall, but I believe some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. And they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. When that time arrives, we shall come again forward to help revive your culture and your race. That is exactly what is said with Mother Shipton. That is exactly what is said with all these different Native American and also African legends. And so they're not coming necessarily from out there. They're inside, and then they just come out and help us restart.
And thank you, Jeffrey. And Jeffrey says, here's a laugh. I dreamt before that RFB and I broke into the Vatican during the big soccer game to get their secrets. Yeah, I believe that. That sounds like a legitimate dream, actually, and maybe on some portion you really, truly did.
Thank you, my brother, Geoffrey. And when you're talking about breaking into the Vatican, how many of you guys have seen Eurotrip? Do you guys know Eurotrip? That is just the stupidest, silliest movie ever, but it still makes me crack up because they break into the Vatican. It's just hilarious stuff. But anyway, this matches up exactly with what Mother Shipton says, and says that now, and again, maybe they don't realize that these are beings that are inside the earth. Sure, they come from the sky because they have ships, Vimanas. Again, they're here already. They've been here. And, the moon is probably just a hollow base. That is my opinion as well. It really is. I do think that's the case. As within, so without, right? There's another reflection on it. But, again, our star brothers and sisters are going to come and basically help us rebuild, but not until we do whatever we're going to do. So it's not like they stop us. The world obviously it's been in the hands of some few madmen that don't care anything about it. But what we need to do is to kindle the flames of that desire to change this whole system. And it's happening. People are stirring. People are waking up and demanding. People are saying we could do better, and we can do better. And, again, there are beings that want us to do better. Does this mean they'll let us, do you think they'd let us have a complete all-out nuclear war and toast everything and possibly damage the inside? I don't think so. I don't know about that.
No, I don't think they would allow it. And there is some evidence that they've stopped certain things before. Like after, I think Hiroshima happened, I believe they stepped in, and there's documentation of the Foo Fighters. So I do believe at this point in the game, they would step in and make sure that their own home isn't destroyed.
Yeah, or the Great Experiment. But this goes along perfectly. It's just fascinating how all these things really go together. And, this shows us that really what we got to do is we got to change the world system. We got to change the leadership at the top. They all got to go. And, we need to just develop some new way of doing things. We got to get out of their matrix that controls us. This incredible money matrix that, has us all enslaved into this particular dynamic that keeps us entrapped without being able to fully express and be ourselves, because all we're doing for the most part, so many of us, is just, trying to make enough money to get by.
Yeah, and that's where we're at. And I think one way to help shift away from the money matrix is start looking at money not as something bad so much as it is an energy exchange. And maybe if we can just get it in our heads that it's an energy exchange, maybe it'll move away from that energy being a piece of paper to something truly, truly energetic from our own hands.
Most definitely. And, it's like I've made a whole video on it. The Federal Reserve, just because you say something is federal doesn't mean it is. Because it's just basically the biggest banks. That's what it is. It's all a system. It's all a system. And so, is the Hollow Earth factor fiction? I think there's most definitely something to it. Too many things that we could just, basically say, it's just legends.
Yeah, there's a ton of things. And these people, when they put these stories on paper, it's coming from somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's not made up, but even if only a fraction of it wasn't true, or even if a fraction of it, was from his imagination, well, he saw something to spur on the rest of the information.
And so Raven says, he's talking about how splitting atoms could basically cause multidimensional issues. I always thought that would be the case. To me, that's really that's swatting the bear on the nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I call it swatting the hornet's nest too. Yeah,
most definitely. I don't think it's a good idea. And then we have Agartha, of course, and there's so much here. The land and realm of the Aryans, and again, that thing gets very interesting as well, and it's the land from which the Vedas come. They're given to us by these societies, these cultures. Very, very interesting, fascinating stuff. And so, let me see where that was. Okay, so Rama, right? Ramayana is a very expansive book, and it's one of the key Hindu holy scriptures, and it's about the size of the entire Bible. And it says, Rama is a incarnation of Vishnu. Vishnu's the preserver. He's the one that keeps things going when we're about to, or anybody, darkness is about to destroy things. The demons, the asuras are about to wreak havoc on the world. Then, he'll take an avatar, as he did with Rama and with Krishna and with others earlier, and try to right the ship and also try to bring us back into balance and harmony. Well, it's fascinating that it says that Rama comes from Agartha. Rama comes from the inner earth. And so, that's just a statement right there. And he is green-skinned. So he's humanoid, but green-skinned and of a much higher vibration than most of us.
Yeah, I believe that. And I think a lot of these guys are extremely real, and they're alive, or their energy runs through us right now, and maybe they're alive in what we would perceive, our skin and stuff on a higher dimension. I do believe they can come see us, but I think it has something to do with frequency. I wonder if standing in the presence of one of these beings, if you're not at a certain frequency, you could have seriously have heart failure or something.
Yeah, perhaps depending on the being. So it's really fascinating stuff. And, just the fact that it comes right out there and says that Rama comes from the inner earth. It's like, okay, there's another one. There's so many instances. And of course, the Himalayas are fascinating, and the Tibetan culture is fascinating. And, as far as inner cultivation, the people of Tibet and the Buddhist monks in particular, they're the epitome of inner cultivation in so many ways. Well, it's just a well-known fact that this is real. There is Shambhala, and there are these beings that are of a much higher nature trying to teach us the reality of the universe and how the universe works.
Yeah, and I read another thing where there wasn't only Rama was the green one, but there was these other green children found from inner earth. So that makes me wonder, what's up with the green skin? Does that have something to do with a chemical thing?
Yeah, I mean, and what would our skin look like if we stayed inside the earth for, 200-300 generations and didn't come out to the surface? And what's it being exposed to? I don't know. I'm just saying it probably wouldn't look the same.
I'm guessing just albino, maybe.
Raven says, electric blue crystalline skin, lightning eyes, anyone? They're the good side. I agree. I agree. And, what we have, Cindy and I have experienced in our meditation and mantras is they're very benevolent.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and they're playful, benevolent, they're heartfelt, they're touching. I get these emotions come through me sometimes, and I've cried and I've laughed, and so they do come through me in an energetic sense.
And we see over here, okay, it's believed that the great kingdom of Lemuria, which was located in the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, was destroyed by Atlantis in a great war that led to a cataclysmic destruction of Atlantis and Mu. Mu was a great city on the surface of what is now the Gobi, had two satellite cities by the name of Agartha Aleph and Byrd that survived the destruction. The inhabitants of Agartha are said to have scientific knowledge and expertise far beyond that of people who live on the surface of the planet. Lost technology from the days of Atlantis. The descendants of ancient Lemuria now live in peace in subterranean caverns. The leaders of these states, variously called ascended masters, guardians of the tradition, or the perfected ones, or the shining ones, the ancients, the watchers, the immortals, etc., etc. They're all known to follow an ancient path. They don't interfere with the lives of humans that live above them on the surface, nor is there any interaction between them. So interesting stuff. The Tibetans refer to the cities of Agartha as Shambhala, and have for centuries believed in their existence as reservoirs of ancient knowledge and advanced technology. So really interesting. And then we see Tibet. In Tibet, there's a major mystical shrine called Patala, which is said by the people there to sit atop an ancient cavern and tunnel system, which reaches throughout Asian continent and possibly beyond. The Nagas, which are again kind of like a serpentine race, human basically from the waist up, and then snake basically waist down. And they also have an affinity with water, and their entrances to their underground palaces are often said to be hidden at the bottom of wells, deep lakes, and rivers.
Now, aren't these the ornery ones? Don't they have an ornery streak?
You need to be respectful of them. I wouldn't say that they're nasty. I don't think that they're evil. I think they're more like, maybe playing with a wise crocodile. You just got to do that gently. Yeah.
Yeah, very carefully.
Most definitely. So, it's fascinating. There's all sorts of inhabitants that are described. And in Buddhist theory, it's believed that there's a race of supermen and superwomen who occasionally come to the surface to oversee the development of the human race. It's also believed that this subterranean world has millions of inhabitants with many cities. The capital being Shambhala. Ancient philosophy states that Agartha was first colonized thousands of years ago when a holy man led a tribe underground. The people have scientific knowledge and expertise far beyond that. The people live on the surface of the planet. And of course, when we're looking at Hinduism, we see them just flying around in their vimanas.
That's amazing. And with this picture right here, I was told that it's not what it seems. They made a mistake on a very high temple, and they put more pictures over it, and the overlay made these things appear to be certain crafts. Now, if that's not treating us like an idiot, I really don't know what is. So these ancient technologies, they're all around us. I do believe that they're on different dimensions, though. And Michael just left the room for a moment, I'm sure. So I'm here alone with you guys, and I'm super nervous. But I do love you, so you're stuck with me just for a minute longer. Or maybe just a few seconds, because usually he doesn't leave me for very long. But look at this. I mean, it's like it's a tank, a tank, what we would perceive as a tank, and a helicopter and a spaceship. And that thing at the bottom to the right, that looks like one of those things on that movie that we're fixing to watch out in the desert, a land glider or something. So this was no mistake. And for them to tell us it was a mistake is just goofy. And thank God he's back.
She did a good job. Her first time with the mic all by herself without being able to hand it off. One of the things, I've always been fascinated with Bigfoot too. And, that's always really, I found fascinating. So a lot of people believe Bigfoot's interdimensional. But the thing is too, when you read some of these ancient Hindu and Buddhist texts, it's thought that there's a being that looks just like Bigfoot, described like Bigfoot, that guards the entrances to the inner earth. So I always found that was fascinating too. Nuclear quantum lasers. Oh, he's back. Shh, 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 shh.
Yeah, totally don't tell, okay?
So, I mean, this is really fascinating stuff. And whether we're, looking at it from any one of the different mythos, which again, I'm a believer that there's a lot more truth in myths than there is in a newspaper. Or basically, just the mainstream. There's it's not even close.
Yeah, our mainstream is the rural storytellers, the tall tales. That's the mainstream. So I like that. That resonates with me.
So let's think back to what we heard from Admiral Byrd. Basically, he talked to one of the leaders back in there, and they said they tried to help us, and they were turned away. We hear the same thing from the meeting with Eisenhower, of the gray aliens and all, and unfortunately, it appears that our governments will work with the darker entities, but they don't want to work with the lighter entities.
I think that's where it all boils down to money and gold, and he who has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah. And so again, are these governments working for the people? No. No, they're not. I mean, it's just that simple. That it is just that simple. So, Shambhala, it actually literally means the place of peace, of tranquility. And think about maybe the thought of some of our quote-unquote angels coming, who often are described as looking kind of Nordic. Again, are these just inner earth beings that are coming out to the surface trying to say, guys, you're doing it all wrong, perhaps it is the case.
Yeah, I think sometimes they are allowed to intervene as long as it doesn't mess with our ability for free will. And I think it has a little bit to do with separation of the energies, which is in one of the books that you showed me. It does talk about the separation of energies.
All right, guys. So if you want to go exploring, here you go. These are some of the entry points, supposedly. Kentucky Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave is a fairly well-known cave in Kentucky, and so that is supposedly an entrance. Manaus in Brazil, Morona Santiago in Ecuador, Mato Grosso in Brazil, and we have Iguazu Falls. It's on the border of Brazil and Argentina. Mount Epomeo in Italy, the Himalaya Mountains in Tibet. And so, that's supposedly guarded by Hindu monks as well. And, who taught them how to fight, really, right? As far as the Buddhist monks and stuff, and there's just all these legends. How about QiGong? And where does that really come from? I mean, is it coming because there's the 7 Taoist immortals of legend, that don't die? And, again, it seems like we learn all the good things from these people. They're the ones that come out and they teach us the secrets. And then the people in power make the secrets to be, stuff that you shouldn't look into, you shouldn't learn, because the people in power are truly demonic, and they're making out the good beings to be the demons. So you'll be afraid of learning, about what you can actually do, who you are really, and, exactly what we can achieve up here, because they don't want that, because, right now, they're the ones in power, they're the ones making all the rules, they're the ones living the luxury life and taking advantage of everybody on the surface and also of Mother Earth herself.
And that worked really, really well for me because I can be very naive and believe a lot of things. So I did go to church and I did listen to what they said for a very long time. And I was afraid to, channel or listen to channeled information because they said, oh, it's a demon coming through. It's a demon coming through. But it was channels like this and a few other ones that helped wake me up, and it unchained my brain. And every time another door opens, I become a little more free and I feel a little bit better. And actually my health, since I've met you, my health has gotten so much better, not just from the energy work, but being able to be myself, being able to believe what's in my heart, and being able to be me has helped me so much.
Yeah, to me, the doctrine of demons is the one that belittles humanity and what we are and what we can be. It's the one that gets us thinking that we're deserving of punishment, because that's what the powers that be want you to think. They want you to think you're a limited being. They don't want you thinking you're a limitless being. They don't want you empowered. They want you powerless. So they give you these doctrines that are basically doctrines that are going to limit your scope of belief in what you can do and what's possible. Also make you feel worthless. Also make you feel like you need somebody to make your life worthwhile. Not that you inherently have a sense of worth in you. So to me now, it's so clear to see what the true doctrine of demons is. And unfortunately, on the surface of this planet, everything is upside down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is. We are in the upside down, or we can go to the upside down, and that's just not a very nice place. And without insulting anyone, it really makes you look twice at the Bible as far as what's true, what's not true, how much is good and how much is bad. And, it's just so convoluted.
Well, it's been done on purpose, and we've gone into that so many times. They've done so many videos on that. There was 200 Gospels. They just picked 4, and there was thousands of books in circulation. And everything that Constantine didn't want, was basically burned. And the people that wouldn't adhere to his form were burned as well. They were killed. They were put to the stake as heretics. And so, again, who is in power? Who's been in power? Are they nice guys? Just ask yourself that question. So then you understand that, which doctrines are the doctrines of limitation and the doctrines of creating this slave mentality, because that's what they use us as, slaves. And so that's why, I have a hard time even believing truly the whole Anunnaki thing completely, because again, it feels like they're saying, we're born to slavery. And I think we're a lot more than that. But I think, again, there's so many lies on top of truth. It's hard to discern, but again, you have to go within. And so, I did some videos on the second channel, and one of them was this one. And most people, unfortunately, in this world, most people aren't ready for this. And, the title is, Are You Ready for This? Can you handle it? Do you have the courage? And basically, it's all about, can you handle being responsible for yourself? Can you handle, being the one that's going to bring about your own personal future, being the one that's creating your path? Can you actually walk into a role of being a co-creator on the planet and the responsibility that comes with that? And again, it's shedding the ego, it's shedding the fear-based systems, it's getting out from underneath everything that we were taught. Can you actually think for yourself instead of just repeating things that were driven into your head? Can you truly think for yourself? Most people, unfortunately, in this world are not thinking for themselves. They really aren't. They're just following. And so, what they are is just, they're sheeple. They're sheeple. They can't think for themselves, and it's so freaking sad. It's like you want to just get people to wake up. Don't you realize we're being manipulated? Totally manipulated. And, we're manipulated with our politics and with our religions in so many different ways. And if you don't follow any organized religion, it doesn't mean that you're an atheist. Because you say, okay, I'm not a Lutheran. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not evangelical. I'm not a fundamentalist Jew. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not any of these human labels. But at the same time, maybe I do believe that there is a creative source in the universe. Maybe I do believe that love and compassion should guide us. Maybe all the rest of it is just bullshit that's put on by a humanity that's trying to control another humanity.
Yeah, I mean, it's so clear to me, and they use us to do their dirty work is what they do. And I can't tell you how many times I have been brutally bashed by someone who calls themselves,
Well, I mean,
we
could go with any.
Yeah, we could go with any.
But
yeah.
what it is it's really what we would call a fundamentalist mindset,
Yes.
where you believe that there's only one path, and it's my path.
Yeah.
And so when you say that, well, there could be a million different paths that lead to a beautiful place, and then they deny that because you have to believe exactly the dogma that I believe. What it's saying is, I'm a very insecure person. And so if you don't believe what I believe, you're going to basically you're going to be shaking my tree, rattling my boat, and basically taking away my belief system, which I can't deal with. So get behind me, Satan.
Yeah, right?
Don't make me look at myself. I'm going to just take this route, is what they do, and that's so sad. But, when we're not afraid to look at ourselves and recognize, okay, what do I got to change? I got to change this, or, so-and-so said this, and you know what? I exploded on them. And what did that do? It made things worse, these type of realizations, and then start to rectify it. That changes everything, because, we could follow any sort of dogma we want to. Dogma has led the world in circles for thousands of years. We're really, as a civilization and a culture, are we really any more advanced than we were a couple thousand years ago, even just 500 years ago? Not really in a spiritual sense, but now things are changing. People are waking up. We are waking up. We are recognizing the matrix, my laser friend there. We're recognizing the system. And so, we're ready to step out of it. So many of us have said, it obviously hasn't worked. So let's see what would work. Let's try a new system. And you know what? Let's respect each other and just let each other be without trying to change each other's belief system or structure. Because, you're not really going to change anybody else's belief system, not permanently. Everybody has to discover their own stuff from the inside, feel. Use your mind, do your research, and then feel. What do you feel? So, it's pretty fascinating, this whole thing. The Theosophical Society is interesting as well. Blavatsky. A lot of these myths were brought to the West through that, and it just kept going on, and went through Alice Ann Bailey and others as well. Fascinating stuff. Inner Earth beings to take the first step to openly reveal themselves to humanity. And now, we have Corey Goode and others that are coming out and saying, yeah, there are inner Earth beings. And strangely enough, these beings, I've seen them, and I've seen them in meditation. They've come through in meditation starting about 1.5 years ago, looking just like this. Not really blonde, but more kind of like silver-haired, very pale skin. And I felt they were fairly benevolent. I did not feel threatened in the least by them. But anyway, I do, everybody has their own opinion. I think Corey Goode has shared a lot of truth. I'm suspicious about his ties to the MIC, the military-industrial complex. I think there is some agenda going on there, but I think at the same time there's a lot of truth that comes through as well.
I do like Corey Goode and the others. They do seem to have a timing problem, but I do believe him. I believe a lot of things that he says is true. He comes up with some stuff that's wild and crazy, but what's everything that we're not exposed to and we don't understand, we might perceive as wild and crazy. So I think there's definitely something there too.
Yep. And Joffrey says, if all of us just lived together, wouldn't it be kind of like a Garden of Eden? It could be. Most definitely. We'll still have some disagreements. Like Anti-Gouvernaire says, Corey is a fraud. Sorry. So you think everything he's talked about is not real. So you don't think that there are reptilians. You don't think that there are inner Earth beings. You don't think that there's a lot of different life in the multiverse. I think, again, it's probably a mix of truth. Yeah, well, see, I'm saying I agree with you. Not everything. That's why I feel to be in the position he is. Yeah, I honestly, I feel like he's controlled by the MIC. He's past military. I think he's still controlled by the MIC. Same thing with David. So, but at the same time, I think, we probably get, 70, 80, 90% truth. And there's that 10, 20, 30% missing that maybe is not giving us a completely crystal clear understanding of the situation. Yet I do think, I think there's a lot of truth in it, honestly. I think there is a lot of disclosure in it. I really, really do. And was it Chris? Yeah, Chris says Corey brings more truth than David. Yeah, because David's got a lot of ego, man. He has a lot of ego. It's a lot of me, I did this. And anytime you see egos that big, I don't trust them. Although he's done a lot of good. I've enjoyed a lot of his shows. I think there's a lot of truth that he covers. He enjoys the Law of One material. And a lot of in Law of One, I feel, really is true, ringing true as well. So again, we have to discern, because every vessel is human. Every vessel this stuff is coming through is human. And whether we're talking Ezekiel and Isaiah thousands of years ago, or we're talking Corey Goode and David as well and others, now, it's going through a human vessel. And so I know there's those that say, this is the living word of God. Well, there's mistranslations everywhere. And we find we've discovered newer scriptures that are showing us what the old scriptures have been mistranslated into. And regardless, everything comes through a human vessel. It's all imperfect. So I just will never buy that. And, I've done videos in the past on inconsistencies in scripture and debated that for like dozens of hours at a time with people. And Emery Smith as well. And Emery's a Facebook friend too. And again, I think he's sharing, honestly, these people could be killed if they step out of line. So that's something else to realize too. I think they're giving us a lot of truth, but accidents happen. And so there's probably only so much you could truly disclose, and you can only disclose what they're allowing you to disclose.
I think that's true. I think these guys really need to watch what they say. I do believe it's like a controlled disclosure, and I think we only get information. They only give us information because they don't want us to find out by seeing, so they kind of leak little bits of information like we saw on Mr. MBB 333's video of the ISS, and there's this huge craft behind it. I mean, it's just ridiculously in your face, and that's their way of saying, see, it told you.
Yeah, she just looked at me like with a terrified look because I was getting to get up again. She's like, where are you going? Where are you going? Xenopec says a lot of dead people are in witness protection, as well. And that is true. And that is very, very true. Art says, seems like they threw up a video when they need money. I don't think it's all about money. I mean, I think it can be, it's different. I feel like, I think that a lot of these people are being used for disclosure, and maybe we will see a massive alien invasion, and maybe it's just inner Earth people. But you know what? I don't believe that either. Maybe they'll portray it as inner Earth because I think the ones that are inside the Earth, at least probably the majority of the cultures, are probably fairly benevolent. At least that's what it seems. Of course, we know Dracos are not so usually benevolent. Again, it's like, do you want to go up and pet the nice crocodile?
Right? Yeah, I know. And I think the Dracos, it's that energy that makes me really dizzy. I can't hardly stand up. And when someone comes into a room, and I think if they're under Draco influence, I get dizzy. I think that's part of my ability, and it's being super hypersensitive, which sucks sometimes, but if it can keep us safe, then it's worth it.
Oh, we have a T. Taylor sighting. T. Taylor's in the house, and I still want you to come on. Let me know if you want to come on, not tomorrow, because we're going to go do a very important trip tomorrow, but maybe the day after. So tomorrow is what? Tomorrow is Saturday? Okay, so Sunday maybe. So Tony, we love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love what you do, and we love who you are. And I hope everything is great with your family.
And if Tony, if you could go over to Tony's channel, because she helps a lot of people with Ascension, and she's helped me a ton with my Ascension symptoms, and oh my gosh, have I had them. It's confusing, it's scary, it's unpredictable, we don't know what's going on, but if we all band together, we can figure anything out, and she is trying to help as many people as possible, and God bless you, Miss Tony Taylor.
Yeah, we love you. We do. And we appreciate you. And tearing up is okay. It's okay. And Nuclear Quantum Laser says his name is Zopher. Are you my long lost son? Is that it's like sometimes I feel like your energy, it's like, you gotta be you're one of the big EA family, that's for sure. Most definitely starseeds. And a lot of us, we came here with a purpose. We did, and we're doing that. We're waking up. Xenopec says, anybody follow Florida Marquis? He's been doing a lot of stuff in Antarctica. He comes up with some really good stuff. Did you see the ships he discovered in the river down in Florida? I mean, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Interesting stuff, most definitely.
It is good stuff. I've been watching him a little bit off and on when I have time to, and It was the other ships that he found, and he was measuring them, the cloaked ships. I'm not exactly how he did that.
That's what I was talking
Oh,
about.
that I thought you meant underwater.
Because there's tools on Google Earth where you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can measure. I've done that too. You know, there's tools on Google Earth where you could do it. Xenopex from Destin. Well, yeah, maybe we could grab lunch when we come through Florida. We'll probably be there in about 6 weeks, I think.
Maybe not. Maybe not. We're gonna go. You know, I'm just, taking our time. We're gonna boondock out right out here outside of Mom's house and make sure we can do it really good.
I shared with you guys that we were, we're looking for a camper, and now I found the camper, and I am picking it up tomorrow. Tomorrow's the big day, and so EEA is going to be, it's going to be morphing because, in 2020, most of EEA is going to be on the road, and we're going to be going all over the place. And, Tony will come up and visit you probably in May or June up in your area. Stephanie, the same thing. We are planning to go, we're going to go to Florida via way of several of our family members along the way. And we'll be in Florida in like late January, early February, March, and then the Carolinas in April and May, and then probably back to the West Coast, and then up to the Pacific Northwest, up into Canada, and then down. Yeah, it's going to be road trip time. And, I was thinking that, brother. Soul Reviver says, can you be our first road trip? I was thinking about asking you if you mind company in like a week or so. Give us a small trip, a nice 4-hour trip, come visit you over on the, over there in the LA area. And then, we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And you know me, I'm always going to be just a tiny bit afraid of stuff, but isn't that part of our journey is to expand. So I know Michael's he'll be gentle with me. He'll break me in nice and slow. He promised.
Yeah, and so we're going to be living in full time in something that's going to be maybe 140 square feet. So we're going to be living in a tiny, tiny home. But this is part of the plan because, I want to be free. It's important to be free. It really is. And so we don't need much. Like I told you guys before I moved from North Carolina here, I gave everything I had to Goodwill and to Habitat for Humanity. We just gave it to them. And because I believe, you pay things forward. I didn't try to sell it. Just basically, here you guys go. They were kind of like, wow, wow, you're nice, but I believe in it. I just believe in that. And so that's what we're going to do. And so I found what is called a Geo Pro, and this is a pretty freaking damn cool camper. Excuse me for swearing. This is an off-road type of thing. This is, it's not big. It's very, very small. Yet you could kind of go everywhere with it. It already has solar hooked up. It's going to have double batteries. Going to be able to extend the solar even more. It's super light. It's only like 3,000 pounds. And it has a water purification system and also a water recycling system in it. So we're going to be able to live completely off-grid for pretty long periods of time, and that is part of the plan. And so, if the grid goes down, we'll basically be okay for a while. It's exciting. So, and it's not expensive, because I was never going to do another big mortgage in my life. Last house I had when the relationship ended, I sold it for $1, and she got all the toys too, and it was okay because I just wanted to have a fresh start, and things don't mean anything. So, we're just going to be able to travel light and travel anywhere, and that's part of the plan.
Yeah, I think when it comes to materialistic stuff, we all need work. We all have stuff to work on, but I do find the lighter my load, the less things I need, the better off I am. And we're going to kind of be in a situation where we don't have a choice but to really shed a lot of our belongings because it's going to be tight, but we're going to be cozy because we're like in this room 24/7 together anyway. So there's not going to be much change.
No, not too much. This office we're in is 10 by 12, so I mean we're living in 240 square feet right now. And basically we've been staying with Cindy's mom by her good grace, and she loves us, and I cook, and I'm a good cook. So, she allows us to stay, and I was just renting in North Carolina. But now my mortgage, quote unquote, is going to be $200 a month. So it's like, what do you need? We could get by with this, more than get by, because that means we're going to be out in, frolicking in Mother Earth's playground, and we're going to be doing, our QiGong outdoors, and we're just going to follow the weather too. So, when it gets to be summertime, we won't be in the South. We'll be in the Pacific Northwest, and then maybe come across Canada at some point. I've seen all of New England. I've seen everything there is to see east of the Mississippi. But Cindy hasn't. She's only seen like 4 states. Yeah. So she's got a lot to see, and I'll show her around.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be exciting, and it is about expansion, and I'm a work in progress, and you guys have really been instrumental in pulling me out of my shell, because you guys are awesome. You're so easy to talk to, and I feel so comfortable. Sorry, I say convertible sometimes. You guys are so comfortable.
I think Cindy's adorable with her comfortable. Osboy, good to see you, brother. So that means that, when you get to the Carolinas in April, we will be there with you. And, we'll definitely get together. And looking forward to that. And, anybody that wants to meet us, let us know where you're at, and if you want to. And we will. We'll come by and stop by and maybe break bread, go somewhere and have a lunch or what have you, or just hang out. It'll be fun. That's what life is all about. And, yes, T. Taylor, you are up in Northwest Washington. We will definitely be hooking up, and, it'd be great to just chill with you and soak up some of that beautiful Pacific Northwest scenery.
It will, Tony, and it'll be wonderful to talk to you, because, oh my gosh, do I have some ascension symptoms that I need to work through. And it'll be really awesome to see you face to face, because I followed your channel for quite a while and followed your work, and you're just awesome.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. So we're both going to get sound treatments from Stephanie. She's also up in the Pacific Northwest. Miss Dragon, we would love to meet you too. You've been with us forever, and we love you too. So if you want to get together when we're up in the area again, probably May into June, July. I can't wait to explore all that there is to explore up there. It's going to be so much fun.
23rd of April. Okay, so Osboy, you land 23rd of April. We'll mark our calendar and maybe even be there to pick you up.
Sounds like a plan. And Joffrey, we're going to definitely be stopping by and seeing you in Alabama, as well as they live. They live as in Alabama too. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. Chris P., you're up in that area too, right? Are you in British Columbia, or are you in Washington? I know you're in the Pacific Northwest. I'd love to have a lunch with you as well, because you're a great person and a really good part of this family.
Yeah, holy crap. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll pick you up if that's what you want, or I'm sure we'll figure out something somehow, some way, because I do want to get out here and meet you guys, and we do want to see my soul family. I know I was born into my family with the flesh and the blood and everything, but you guys are my soul family. My mom is beautiful, my family's beautiful, but they don't quite understand me, and you guys really do.
All right, so it looks like there's a party at Tony's house. There's a party developing at Tony's house. So one of the things I want to do is, when we do this, I want to have some EEA family get-togethers, and I already see one taking place, maybe 2 in Florida, most definitely in the greater Tampa area. I'd like to do one in the Carolinas. I'm thinking probably Greenville or Columbia. And then maybe we could do one up at Tony's house if she's good with it. We could get everybody that's up in driving range of Washington State to come, and that would be fun. and get people together. So, if anybody that's interested in hosting a get-together for the family, let me know, and we could definitely do it. So, right now the plans are more the southeast and then cutting back across and going up to the Pacific Northwest. And after that, we'll see how it goes. But plan on covering the whole country. So, yeah, Tony, awesome. Let's do that. So we'll narrow it down as we get closer to the date and see, what we could get together as far as, a family get together. Maybe we'll televise it live or play it back Memorex. Oh my God, I'm so old.
He doesn't look. He looks younger than he did a year ago. I swear, he looks really good, you guys. So, we both you know what? We both look better. I think that's a testament to coming together and our abilities working together and sending energy together and putting our energies and working on other people together. I think there's something to that.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's what you eat, it's how you live. And we get a lot of exercise, compared to most. So that really, really helps. And, the meditation, the QiGong, that is absolutely key.
It is. The QiGong and the energy work and meditation has been a godsend for me.
Most definitely. So, guys, I want to thank you for this live. As always, it's just an amazing experience. We love you guys so much. We really, really do. And it's a blessing to connect to you guys all the time. And Nuclear Quantum Laser says, what about Puerto Rico? Are you in you're not in Puerto Rico, are you? What part of Puerto Rico? I've been there like 6 times. And I enjoy it. I love Puerto Rico. Beautiful place, beautiful weather. If it wasn't for the storms and the hurricanes and the fact that they're getting more intense, I would be on a Caribbean island in a heartbeat.
I would too.
So, guys, love is the answer, as you guys are saying. Much love. As always, I thank you for your support on Patreon, and come and join us over there as well. And there's some videos that go up there that don't come on YouTube, or support on Ko-Fi as well. Make sure you're subscribed to the second channel, Arts, as well. And for anybody that's interested, we do have a lot of services available as far as energy work, wellness, spiritual coaching, Vedic astrology charts, as well as readings, lots of stuff in person, even more stuff that we do offer. So as always, my friends, God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste. Love you guys.